Okay, I'm going to give a quick little tutorial on how you can do favoriting of items that are in an external collection. First, let's take a look at our database. We've got three collections here. Our external collection is trips, which is connected to Airtable. And then we've also got our users collection and then internal trips, which essentially create a copy of the external trips that the user is favoriting. And if we expand my users collection, you can see there's a property called trips, which is a many-to-many property that relates users in the internal trips collection. Okay, so that's the database is set up. Let's take a look at our screens. First of all, on the home screen, I've got a list of the external trips. And then you can see here we've got the trip field name coming in from Airtable here. And then we've also got two icons here for indicating whether or not they've been favorited. So an unfilled checkbox and then a filled in checkbox. They've both got visibility rules on them. So for the unfilled checkbox, what we want, let's talk about the actions. When we create an internal trip, when the user clicks this, and the internal trip, we're going to fill in the name as well as an ID property. So this is getting the trip ID from the Airtable trip. And again, you can find that here in the magic text by doing current trip and then ID. And then we update that internal trip by adding the logged in user to it. Again, this is adjusting the many-to-many relationship between internal trips and the users collection. Okay, so when somebody clicks on this, we're going to create the internal trip, and then we're going to set that saying that the user has favorited it. And then we also only want this to be visible if they have not already done so. So the visibility rule looks like this. So it says sometimes visible if the logged in user's internal trips count is equal to 0. And then you can either match on the name or the ID. So we could do the ID is equal to the current trip ID. That way, you're for sure not going to have any matches there. So again, this is saying if the logged in user's internal trips that they favorited that match the current one in this list is 0, that means they haven't favorited this one yet. So we want to show the unfilled checkbox. And of course, on the checked mark, the filled in check mark, we have the opposite. It's basically saying, hey, let's look at the logged in users' internal trips that they've favorited, where the IDs match the current one in the list. If that's greater than 0, then we want to show the filled in checkmark. If we click on the profile icon here in the app bar, you can see that this is going to link me over to the user's profile. And what we have on the user's profile is their favorites, so the trips that they favorited. So again, this is a list of the external trips from Airtable. We have the magic text set up the same way. And the trick here, though, is we don't want to, of course, show all of the trips, just the one they favorited. And the way that we do that is we've grouped the elements of the list item. So that's this rectangle as well as these two text components showing the name and the subtitle. And then we've set a visibility rule here. So this is only showing if the logged in user's internal trips count that they favorited is greater than 0, where the ID of the Airtable trip is equal to the current trip ID. So very similar to how we set up the visibility on the checkbox here. So this is meaning it's only going to show the Airtable trips if it's got an ID that's matching what they favorited. And then, of course, we've got it set up so if I click on this list item, it's going to take me to a trip info page. And this is set up to just show the current trip name as well as we've got the image here. So that's the trip fields, the images URL is how we've got that going. So let's go ahead and run the preview so you can see this in action. So you can see here I've got 4 trips, Test, Missouri, Hawaii, and Florida, 2 of which I've already favorited. I'm going to go ahead and add Hawaii as a favorite. And there you go. Now you can see that I have favorited Hawaii. And if we go to my profile screen to view just my favorite trips, You can see that Test and Missouri and Hawaii show up here. And if I click on one of them, I can see its name as well as a picture. So there you go. That's how to set up a favoriting system for external collections.